Dave, you know why I love using Zencastr?
Is it because the recording quality is better than other methods of recording a podcast virtually?
Nope.
Is it because they offer a free version for hobbyists just getting started?
No, not that.
Is it because it's super easy to use for everyone and none of our guests have ever had an issue using it?
That's not it.
Is it because they offer automatic post-production and transcription services?
Negative.
Stop burying the lead. Why do you love Zencastr?
It's because Zencastr is all of the things you just said, Dave. Well, and they sponsor this pod. That's right, Adventures in Collecting is powered by Zencastr. How about your pod? Get started now with Zencastr and use our code to start podcasting today. Visit Zencastr.com/pricing and use promo code AICPOD to get 30% off your first 3 months of their professional plan or try it for free. That's Zencastr.com/pricing and use promo code AICPOD.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls.
Along with our journeys as collectors.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting.
Hi.
Dave, we're back post Wrestlemania.
We did it. We made it.
It was quite the weekend. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot happened. It was fun.
One could argue the swerve of the decade at WrestleMania too. That was I think that took some people off guard there.
Which one?
Exactly. That's the right answer. That's the right
answer.
Okay. So it's always if first of all, welcome back to our lovely listeners. Those of you
and
who
our annual post WrestleMania, I feel like we talk about it every year.
Exactly. I was just about to say, if you've been with us for a while, you know that we typically do a post WrestleMania. Usually, there's a lot to talk about in terms of things that happened at WrestleMania that were particularly toyetic. I think Seth Rollins kind of runs away with that category this year, as being one of the most toyetic at the show. Asuka probably close second, but
Edge and Finn.
We actually have a guest, though, today, because along with the things that happened at WrestleMania, prior to WrestleMania, our friends at Mattel had quite a bit to show off leading up to the event. So, no one really understands the phrase "so real it's like being in the ring," like this week's returning guest, coming in hot after a long weekend of reveals and wrestling events in Los Angeles. Welcome back to the pod, Mattel's Steve Ozer. Steve, are you well rested and ready to talk about more wrestling figures?
No and yes.
Fair answer. At least you didn't have to go far for WrestleMania this year. It was practically in your backyard.
Traveling is easier, believe me, than what we pulled off this year. It was cool to sleep in my own bed, but we did even more with WrestleMania being here. We did stuff at Mattel headquarters, and not even things that were all collector facing, right? Meetings and additional activities through everyone who's traveling here for WrestleMania weekend, whether it was travel package partners or whoever. So it was a wild week for sure. 2 panels, an influencer day, reveals, interviews at the booth, and then trying to attend the shows as well and do normal work at the same time. I mean, the nice thing about leaving for WrestleMania is you can kind of ignore the real work, right? But here it's everybody's trying to still get your attention because they know you're around. So anyway, I'm looking forward to Philly next year.
And I was going to say, and you still had LA traffic, so.
Oh yeah, and the events were all spread out too, right? SoFi Stadium, Crypto.com Arena, LA Convention Center, Mattel headquarters. So yeah, it was not the most relaxing WrestleMania.
So you mentioned though that you had an influencer event, and there were a bunch of our peers, our fellow toy bloggers that were in attendance. What was it like having the opportunity to kind of take them through the factory, show them around Mattel, and show them kind of inside the process a little bit more?
I mean, well, first of all, we missed you guys there. We were hoping you would attend, but we'll work out something fun for Philly next year for sure. But it was pretty cool to give a lot of our influencer partners a tour of Mattel, because I kind of walked backwards as I was walking them around the building at certain points, just to be able to look at their eyes and see the reactions. And they weren't looking at me; they were just like in awe, like eyes popped wide open, looking around, mouths dropped open. I think it was a dream for a lot of people to, I mean, not only just visit Mattel, where it was kind of the source of their hobby and their love with collecting, but like to get to go to WrestleMania. There was a lot of first time WrestleMania goers that came out for this trip as well. So it was really nice to have played a small role in what would be a lot of these people's first WrestleMania experience.
Yeah, it was great seeing all the videos coming out of the event, and seeing kind of the Easter eggs that you guys had sprinkled in, like the render photos hanging up of figures that were like technically were not announced yet, and
I don't
the
know what you're talking about.
exactly. And I really like the pictures of the actual talent ring gear next to the figures that they were kind of inspired. Like you guys really kind of set that up really
Yeah, it was
well.
a really
Awesome.
cool thing to have kind of seen from afar.
Hey, we may or may not have tried on some of that gear. But no, we didn't. We didn't actually. Well, I did try one thing on, but Ben Brown with WW was fantastic, and some of the gear we didn't have exact matches, right? I mean, things happen. Gear is sold or not available, but we had close matches for most. Like we had Warriors, Duster, and Boots, which is the inspiration for the crowdfunded Warrior. That's the campaign's going on now, and we had the original Ultimate Edition Warrior on display there. Bret Hart's jacket, we had a different jacket, but I mean, once again, it's Bret Hart's leather jacket. Come on. What else did we have there? Seth Rollins gear for the upcoming fan boat. It was the Elton John inspired gear. So cool stuff, and some stuff that wasn't even consumer facing. That is for, I mentioned there's a lot going on and still work going on. We're having our annual customer previews and Toy Fair gallery in one of our buildings on campus. And there's even more props and memorabilia over there as well. So there may have been somebody's mask that I tried on.
Fair.
And what a night to have spent with everybody at WrestleMania too.
Oh, it was so good. Not only, did the influencers get to partake, but, Bill and I and Rob, to a little bit of a lesser extent, we reap a lot of rewards for working on the brand and get to go to a lot of shows and meet fans and meet superstars. But WrestleMania is the one time of year where a bulk of our team get to go to WrestleMania and get the full experience. They get to go to the booth, work the booth, meet the fans. And there was like that panel on Saturday featured the majority of the team. So it was a great time, to all get together, mingle and be one community of action figure fans, really.
So, outside of the excitement around the Nitro Arena, which we'll get to shortly, out of all of the things that you got to reveal, from the retros to the superstars, to the elites, to the ultimates, what was the thing you were most excited to kind of show off at Access this year?
I unfortunately didn't get to reveal it. The gobbledygooker. That thing, we kept that thing a secret, and we fought to keep it a secret. and then it just popped up online the night before. We had the diorama, we had the costume. At what point we're going to build the egg for like a photo op. But I mean, hey, it sold out in less than 24 hours, that initial pre-order allocation. So, I guess that's all that matters, that people were excited, and people bought it, and, there's demand for more, which we're trying to take care of shortly here if it hasn't been done already. And then everything else became icing on the cake. So, we finally did it. We finally got the Gobbledygooker figure, and then my whole team argued over who got to wear the costume, and it was fun.
Yeah, I just it blows my mind. That was something where I woke up and I saw the link, and I sent it to I sent it to Dave immediately before I even had a chance to post it on our feed. I was just like, this exists. You not only
oh, really?
not only did you get the Gobbledygooker out into the world, but as an ultimate edition.
Yeah. Ultimate Gobbledygooker.
Oh man.
With Egg and Undertaker, that figure is amazing. He's got new boots. If you remember previously, he had kind of like an overlay over his feet to achieve that spats look. So they're just like new boots with the spats integrated now. He's got a new hat that fits on his head better. He's amazing looking, and both sets of gloves, the gray and the black. And then the packaging, George, our packaging designer, just killed it. We just sat one afternoon and just collaborated, and he was like, I think this needs to be VHS. And then we were just off to the races, and I was like, you got to add the brick background for the team lineups and, everything. And he just killed it. And you just look at that, and technically it's terrible looking, right? It's just yellow. It's a little ugly, right? But it's so great. It's one of the greatest things we've ever did, because you feel something when you look at that packaging, right? If you grew up in that time, you know exactly what it's supposed to be, and it takes you right back in time. So it's I love that it's simultaneously, and I guess the Gooker as well, some of the most weird and what the heck things, but the best all at the same time.
1991. What a year!
And you get that Mean Gene Build-A-Figure, and you get him dance with the Goblin.
Oh yeah, and if you look at the back, and I think some of those there's either a sneak peek or a sliver of it, or maybe not. I don't know. But the action figure photography on the back, we typically only have one talent on the back, the featured talent of the Ultimate Edition figure. But for both figures, we've got Mean Gene doing the do-si-do with Gobbledygooker, and on Undertaker's package, we've got Brother Love walking him down the aisle.
Perfect. And you can recreate both of those moments now. That's another one that, obviously we unveiled that earlier, but to have Brother Love in that Dio was super cool and super special. And Bruce stopped by, and I got to show him everything, and he seemed happy. He kept it close to the vest and wasn't marking out or anything, but he seemed pleased. At least, he acted pleased. I got to imagine he saw that and the Gobbledygooker, himself with the Brother Love get up on, and the Gobbledygooker went, I can't believe that it's 2023. Here they are.
Yeah, because I think it's been so long since they've even been back to Jack's days. So it's awesome that they're now going to be in this elite or an ultimate scale or ultimate articulation respectively. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and I did kind of always want to get that Brother Love figure out while he was still doing the rounds for podcast shows and signings and stuff. But I mean, he seems to be very happy and content with what he's doing now. Yeah. And he's got the figure now, and it'll always be available for people to go to signings should he choose to do that again.
For sure. So when you watch something like WrestleMania or any other premium live event or Raw or SmackDown or NXT, do you immediately think that somebody should be a figure, or this gear definitely needs to be on a figure?
Oh, all the time. And I love when I'm with Bill, because you could just give the look, right? And it's that's a yes, and there were a couple of that's a yes. And there's others you earmark as a maybe if you can, or maybe if they re-sign with the company, right? Or, because, if you're privy to that knowledge, that factors into things as well. some like no way in hell we could ever afford it, right? So all those things cross our minds, of course, as we're watching the show and trying to enjoy it. We're just we're action figure fans too, so we do the same things the fans do. Like we want that as a toy, like some things that were like too expensive last year were like Ray and Dom in their inspired gear, and we're just like, how do we do this? Like we can't possibly afford this, and things like that just don't pan out. But other things, I think we're gonna achieve.
So on this topic, we kind of mentioned it at the top. One of the things that we like to do post WrestleMania is, typically Dave and I each pick like our, a person, a talent that we like, the thought, this is the one that we want to see in action figure form. So, let's go through that exercise like we usually do. But Steve, since you're our guest,
I was not prepared.
Do you want to go first?
Who I want to see, or a gear I want to see?
So specifically from WrestleMania, like who do you think had like the most toyetic gear? Like if you could pick one to make into a toy from WrestleMania, who would it be?
As like just a ridiculously cool action figure, like Edge in that entrance gear. Like holy smokes, there was so much going on there. You could do something truly, truly epic. So I would love to see that as an action figure. Is it on maybe the side of things that may be unaccomplishable with kind of the lines we have now? Maybe. But that one was just like, unbelievable. So, that'd be my pick for sure. There's some easy like layups, like, Demon Finn.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on.
With the purple hits.
Yeah, you don't even need to think about it.
Dave, do you want to go or do you want to stay for last? Mine, I know what mine is. It's not Seth Rollins.
I was gonna say I'd like to hear yours. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mine is 100%. Like from the moment she switched back to this look at the Rumble, I've been dying for an ultimate Asuka figure with the coat, with the like the new mask, the clown makeup. Couple like maybe like two heads. One with like the tongue out, like. That I just love the kabuki clown evil Asuka, and like you guys did the Goldberg head with the like the smoke coming out of it, so maybe like a blue mist effect or something coming out of her mouth. Like I just think that I think Asuka is always one of the most toyetic wrestlers. Like she's just her ring gear, her entrance, everything about her. She's awesome, and I would love to see her get an Ultimate figure with that WrestleMania gear.
Fortunately, there's a big fan of Asuka who designs these figures, so maybe.
yes, playing to build strengths.
But it does show his restraint that it hasn't happened yet, right? So
it's wild. Like when I every time you guys have an event with a announcement, I'm like, come on, this is the time, Bill. This is the time. It's gonna happen. So hopefully now that she's had an awesome WrestleMania match, a very memorable one, another very memorable one. Hopefully hopefully it's time for Asuka. Hopefully we are ready for Asuka.
So I think Finn's a layup, but with the purple hits and just it being such a drastically different version of the Demon from what we're used to, like for me that was an easy one. I'm trying to think if there was anything that was even a close second from the weekend.
It was very simple, but like as a toy person, mind-blowingly amazing. John Cena's shirt.
Yep.
Yes.
G.I. John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or we could say
we can't do it obviously, but
or we could say Larry Hama inspired John Cena.
Yes.
Oh, that helps us.
Larry Hama inspired John Cena. Because it's just his
Reyes
art style. It's just the Larry Hama art style. I mean, all his art looks like that. Just
the Rey Mysterio kind of Muda themed mask was cool too.
Oh, so good. Yeah, absolutely. Both Dom too. Dom's entrance was fantastic. Cody's robe was unbelievable.
Yeah, with the wig.
Seth
Roman has red shoes now.
Yeah.
Now with
red shoes on Roman.
Now with red shoes.
Mhm.
Well, I like that he's finally getting. Speaking of Roman, I like that he's finally getting the one finger. I saw on the it was Elite 104,
Was it 3 or 4? Yeah, I'm not.
103, 104.
Sure.
You guys released so many figures, but yeah, one one of the upcoming Romans has the
Logan Paul's gear was even great.
that was fun. The bottle was
Mhm.
is now a superstar.
KSI.
Um, I think that finger for Roman, we wanted to, if memory serves me correctly, he was doing that back last WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think we were trying to make it happen, but it was just past our cutoff, right? Of making it work. So yeah, a couple months later or a year later, we're making it happen. So that's exciting. Sometimes just little things like, I joked about the shoes, but I mean, Roman's so popular, it just makes such a relevant figure to have pointing fingers and potentially red shoes. So, we're grateful for little things like that.
Yep, teeny like when he changed from the gold gauntlet to
Yeah.
the red gauntlet. It was yeah, it's like
But that ultimate rules too.
Yeah.
The Roman one.
It does. That screaming head is still one of my favorite expressions and I like the way that the neck peg is mounted in it too, so that way it's very well engineered. So getting back to the announcements, you guys revealed the next crowdfund on Mattel Creations. How did the team land on the WCW Nitro stage as the next project?
Well, we were exploring a few options. One of the obvious ones that's been spoken about and that you've seen was the Raw stage, and some other ones that we won't talk about to get people's hopes up yet, and hopefully keep things a surprise if the time ever comes to do them. But really, it just became about it was kind of an even split, like what people wanted to see, Nitro versus Raw. That combined with just feasibility at the time, and the fact that doing Nitro first allows you to, not only get people acclimated to a slightly higher price point, but you can start developing some of the tools needed for the Raw stage potentially, right? Which then would allow for that item to be not quite as expensive as if it were to come first. So, it just made sense to go with Nitro first, given that popularity split, given that it helps us attain a slightly more affordable Raw stage. It's a nice building block piece that is equally as popular, theoretically, of course. So, we're here, we're doing it, we're doing the Nitro stage, and it looks phenomenal. We're so happy how it turned out. We just got a first model from Japan, and I'm sorry, from China. And we were blown away by how, well done that model came out.
Yeah. And, you guys had the live stream, this is airing last week, with, that featured, DDP making an appearance, and you could see it, kind of in his expression that, like, you guys asked him. I think Sam was the one that actually asked him the question that, like, as somebody who has walked through that curtain, down that ramp, like, what is it like seeing like a 7-inch version of you standing on that ramp? And you could see it in his face that he was like, I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, he used that stage frequently. So, we got his blessing buy off that it was accurate. And he was so great to work with, and Dallas and I go back a little bit to the my DDP yoga days, and my Honest Tea and Coca-Cola days. So it was awesome to reconnect with him. And I he was always so good and gracious to me, and now I can make action figures of him, which is awesome. And I know he's going to sign them right at WrestleCon and all these other events. So that's a nice feeling to have. But Dallas is amazing. That figure as well. It's pretty historically significant because it's representative of his feud with Randy Savage, right? And that feud put Dallas on the map. So I think Dallas actually just posted something. Or can I spoil that we're not live, right? We're not live. We're recording this, but Dallas posted something today, about the feud with some video footage and commemorating, a historic milestone of it. So, it's pretty meaningful to do this particular version of Dallas and to do somebody that, has helped me and so many other people, have a little bit better quality of life through DDP yoga.
Yeah.
And it's another thing you can recreate too with the Target Ultimate Macho Man.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're ready to go. So, I mean, I don't know if you'll get there at any point, but, not only have we slowly been building towards Monday Night War themed play sets, but I mean, we're all in pretty shortly here in early 2024 with a full-fledged Monday Night Raw line of elites and ultimates.
So one of the things that, kind of, is one of those things that's really interesting about watching this process is seeing kind of the the talent react to the process, react to like seeing their figures. Is that something that like you've gotten used to at this point over the years, or is it still like amaze you when these guys see themselves and they're like, I just like I gotta have that, I need to have that.
I think maybe the shock of, oh, they actually like this, might have worn off, but not the feeling of pride and giving back that I have, for both modern and legendary talent, right? It's just like the appreciation of legendary talent, that this stuff is coming out and keeping their spirit alive, keeping their name out there, giving them more stuff to sign. Like you saw Cowboy Bob Orton do the rounds of signings when his legend figure and retro figure came out at roughly the same time. Like he was all over the place, and it was, I mean, I would attribute some of that to smart businesses saying, hey, there's action figures here we can sell, and he can sign them. So, it's really special, or if it's, families, of wrestlers who are no longer with us, who just like, they're just so appreciative. And then the younger talent, they grew up. Now we're in the generation of talent that grew up playing with action figures, playing video games, and getting those things being included in a game or getting an action figure for the first time. It's like the sign that they made it. And not only that they made it, that they actually like the product that they're getting of themselves, on top of it. So it's super rewarding. I'm, everyone knows at this point, I would hope that I'm a lifelong super fan. I never gave up on this business, through unpopular times and bullying or whatever. This was my business, and I'm so proud to be involved in it and be giving back in this way to the talent.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's awesome to kind of see that kind of paying forward come kind of full circle on something like the live stream. So you see this huge entrance stage, and space is a luxury for a lot of collectors. How is something that is as seemingly large as the Nitro entrance stage friendly to those that may not have room to permanently display the entire thing?
So during our Mattel panel on Saturday, Mike Cadili, the designer of the actual stage itself, you let the audience know that you can actually, it's kind of modular, so you can actually reconfigure it slightly and make it fit on a standard depth shelf. So by the time this podcast goes live, you can head over to my Instagram at Action Figure Attack, and check out a Reels video of that reconfigured shallower depth version of the stage. It is still long. So it might be like if you have Billy bookcases like I have behind me, you can probably put it across the top or something. I don't believe it will fit the left to right, but I can always measure that this coming week. But it will fit depth-wise, absolutely. Yeah, so you can do that, and it looks great. You just don't have the ramp basically, and it's like a thin version of the stage, but all the scaffolding and WCW letters and banners all fit nicely on it still.
Awesome. That's good to know. That's very good to know.
Mm-hmm.
We talked at length, so far about DDP, and that Ultimate's inclusion in the campaign. But tell us a little bit about the other figures. So like, what went into the decision to include the Ultimate figures that you included, and kind of where you slotted them in the campaign process?
Yeah, so for the early bird, we wanted a talent at the level of Macho Man that people seem to continuously get excited for when a new figure comes out. I will say, and I've started to say this a little bit, that we were going to include another really meaningful accessory that unfortunately wasn't approved. And I think if we would have included it, everyone would have been reacting much differently to this figure than maybe they are now. But those are the breaks, you know what I mean? And sometimes you got to keep things in motion and just pivot a little bit. So this is where we are. It's Hulk Hogan. We added some other things, like the non-rippable shirt and whatnot to plus it up a little more in lieu of not having that accessory. But Hulkster is somebody that everybody loves. He does move the needle. I know we've had a lot of Hulk Hogan figures and Hulk Hogan Ultimates, but when you look at you compare Hulk Hogan versus other talent, like he's a top seller forever, so we felt safe, moving forward still with him as the early bird. Ray, cruiserweights, synonymous with Monday Nitro, right? And he was the flagship luchador. And when you think about lucha libre, cruiserweights, mass wrestlers, or whatever, in most people's minds, like that Rey Mysterio mask is synonymous. So it was only appropriate you have a cruiserweight and Rey Mysterio be part of this set. And the soft goods robe is really, really nice with that. I think there's a dragon pattern on the back of it. So he's anchoring the set. Then you have Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. And that was like, once WWE gave us a green light that we could do Scott Steiner figures, I mean, we knew he had to be in this set, like absolutely. So we got him in there, and lots of new parts, new torso, heads, biceps, to really nail his unique super heroic physique. And then Warrior, one of the comments of the last crowdfund was you should have had more tiers to entice people to keep buying into the item. So we added another tier here, basically at 11,000. And that's that Warrior in the look previously only done in action figure form by Jax as a 105 exclusive. So, now there's a chance for, maybe roughly 11,000 people or more to own, that version of Ultimate Warrior from his Monday Nitro debut. And, even though his stint in WCW was a little on the short side of things, I think that initial debut is something everyone remembers. Holy smokes, Warrior actually showed up in WCW. So, and then the bell rang.
And if you missed that first Ultimate, this is kind of a chance to still get that Warrior.
Yeah, to get that era. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new parts there too. The pelvis has the belt buckle, the unique belt buckle he had for that debut. New legs, or at least and I think maybe all new legs, to accommodate the new boots that he has. So and then the heads as well are new.
As I say, there's other like slept on features too with it, like the always on lights, or that possibility to like kind of plug in, the big gold belt for the first time. You do have an NWO member in here. Like it kind of runs the gamut of everything that is that era of Nitro.
Yeah, everything is touched upon, right? You've got a mainstay, really, in Hulk, who's the headliner of the company towards the tail end. You've got the cruiserweights represented in Ray, NWO, and Scott, and then the what the heck, right? That WCW was full of with Warrior. So it's like every little nugget that made WCW special is present there. And I mean, thank you for bringing up the big gold. I mean, that's exciting. And so many people have wanted this version for a long time. And it's the version without the WW logo. So, this is the first time, of course we'll do it again right after this. So I don't want to dissuade people, from buying the set. I don't want to lie either and say the only way to get the big gold ever is going to be here. But this is going to be the first time in a long time coming to get this actual title.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys.
A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at 106 Main Street in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at ChubsyWubsy.com. That's ChubzyWubzzy.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
Level up your collection with CGC, the world leader in pop culture collectibles grading. CGC recently launched its video games division with experienced, knowledgeable, and passionate graders to help you maximize your value on all the games you love. Ready to give your games an extra life? Submit today at cgcgrading.com. That's cgcgrading.com.
Face it, shaker bottles suck. Your shakes always come out clumpy and they're a pain to clean.
You're right, Dave. That's why I decided to ditch my shaker bottle for good and get myself a BlendJet 2 portable blender. It makes perfectly blended shakes in just 20 seconds.
BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease.
BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. It lasts for over 15 blends and recharges quickly via USB-C.
Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go.
With an array of colors, patterns, or even Disney-inspired designs to choose from, show off your personality while you're blending up something delicious on the go.
What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today.
And be sure to use the promo code AICPOD12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code AICPOD12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today to get the best deal ever.
And now, back to the show.
Yeah, and you know, one of the other things kind of pivoting from the campaign itself is kind of the supporting assets of it, right? You know, so aside from the things that are actually, you know, available specifically through the campaign, you guys have kind of this roadmap laid out of additional pieces that go very well with this, with the Monday Night Wars figures that are coming to Walmart, both in Elite and Ultimate form, and the ring with Ultimate Eric Bischoff. So, you know, can you tell us a little bit about more, you know, what went into those Elites and Ultimates?
Well, I mean, you brought up the ring, and I've seen a lot of people commenting why the Raw ring first, right? If they're going to do Nitro here. Maybe at a point when we had to pull the trigger on that ring, maybe we were leaning towards the Raw stage first, right? But I mean, by the time, you know, this funds, you'll have this ring still before the stage ships. So you'll be completely set up with a ring and that Eric Bischoff figure, and he'll be awaiting the arrival of the Nitro stage and the Hulkster and everyone else. Well, hopefully the Hulkster. I know this airs slightly after the Hulkster backer period ends. So we'll just assume that the Hulkster is backed. And then the line. I mean, everyone is fantasy booking into the crowdfund that didn't make it, theoretically, if we have them available, they're going to wind up in the Monday Night Wars line in some, you know, shape or form, whether it's Ultimate or Elite. So, you know, Gene's DDP, I mean, a layup, right? And, you know, probably more appropriate as an Elite than an Ultimate edition, right? It's simplistic deco on him. You know, and everyone else, you know, we hear it, you know, if we can do Harlem Heat again, maybe they're a good fit here. Singles run Booker T, 6, you name it, we'll try to fit them into the Monday Night War line. And something to note, with Ruthless Aggression, we went into that line with an end date in mind, knowing that we were going to pivot to Monday Night War here. But Monday Night War, we have no end date in mind. So this is something that, as long as it remains popular and the figures have decent sell-through and Walmart is happy with it, we want to continue this as long as possible. And I already, laid out a rough roadmap. Of course, talent subject to change for like 4 years worth of figures of elites and ultimates and Build-A-Figures. So, there's no shortage of excitement to come. And of course, if things change with WWE and we get additional signings and new talent, of course, we'll squeeze them in and make them happen in this line.
Now, is question kind of follow up to that. I know at the live stream you had announced it's the first two ultimates are Piper and Bret Hart. Is it always going to be one of each, like one WCW, one WWE?
Yeah. For Ultimates, it's going to be 1 and 1, and for the Elite line, it's going to be 2 and 2. And then the Build-A-Figure will alternate between waves between companies. Something else interesting that I want to do, pending licensor approval, is when you look at the spine of your action figures and package, it will have the logo of the time, which I know some new gen people will be excited about because they wanted more new gen ultimates. So you'll see like a timeline of logo progression for both companies. And we'll also try to include the date there. So if you want to, after a couple years, you could rearrange everything chronologically by date and logo and have your History of Monday Night Wars bookshelf if you want to.
That rules.
That's awesome. That's a nice little touch.
Yeah. Because I'm automatically seeing like, Nitro debut Scott Hall, thinking like, all right, you need Kevin Nash in the like striped t-shirt so you can powerbomb the Eric Bischoff. Like there's just...
Yeah. I guess,
so
a lot of these requested looks lend themselves to street clothes. So, for those, collectors who've wanted more street clothes figures, I think it's inevitable, right, to have that here because so many significant moments were in street gear. X-Pac's re-debut on Raw, street gear, Hall and Nash, as you said. Hogan's heel turn is essentially Hogan wore those clothes in real life, tights and tight shirts. So, a lot of street gear represented here as well as, wrestling gear, of course.
So cool. So also another line that's just continuing to thrive is the retros. We saw some new gen recently in the most recently released set in the orange cards. As well as in the upcoming set that's coming out. Does this open up the door for more eras to be represented?
Yes. Did you guys notice anything about the packaging for the newest retros?
No.
You didn't notice anything about the color?
It's for the Undertaker Paul Bearer with the like darker kind of bluish.
Okay. I see.
I'm holding up a Jack's Bone Crunching Action Superstars Undertaker here, and it's got the bluish purple into the reddish pinkish. So the inspiration for that packaging was to celebrate this bone crunching era of WWE, and you have Vader and Paul Bearer. So it's very synonymous with this. And I think Vader came a wave or two later, right after this Undertaker wave.
Yes.
So it's very purposeful. And of course, it's close to the blue. Let me put these down. It's close to the blue previously, but I think, just a little wink to those longtime collectors and people who love that era, giving them something that hopefully will once again tug at the heartstrings once they realize it. And they will after this podcast.
Yeah, and you guys too with the retro line have introduced the first female retro figure in Wendy Richter, right? She's
I was like, we did? Yes, Wendy Richter. That's exciting. We were trying to get somebody out for the longest time, and a lot of contenders. But Wendy gives us a great base body to use that you can change up with new arms or new legs or whatever. But it's really exciting to get Wendy out first, and maybe, you know, perfect because, you know, she was the one at the very beginning. She was the first, you know, kind of superhero female wrestling character in the 80s. And, you know, there were times when people said she was big as Hulk in that era. And of course, you know, the war to settle the score and all that stuff with super high ratings. So she's historically significant. We're happy to have our first female figure in retro. It's finally long overdue. And we will absolutely do more females after Wendy. And she's got a double action. She's got a twist the waist, and she's got an uppercut.
Awesome.
Oh, very cool.
So alongside with the retros, one of the things that we've seen come up in the photography when they're announced and they go up for sale is that ring, the blue ring. Are there any opportunities coming for a ring for these retros, or championship titles or anything like that?
I really hope so. The ring is something that I've been looking for an opportunity to bring back. And, you know, I say this sometimes, it's not about ideas as much as opportunity, right? Because, you know, as a fan, I have a million ideas, and I talk to all you guys and you have a million ideas. It's waiting for the moment to do it, the opportunity to do it, and you slip it in there and you make it happen, right? Or else you're just like shouting at the wind, we should do this. And it's like, okay. Yeah, okay, sure, we should. But like if the opportunities come up, and there always are, because you always have to plan for the following year and the following year, or something gets canceled or something happens, and then those are the moments you actually make the things happen. Like the Gobbledygooker Undertaker is a great example. We wanted a special different type of item, and that absolutely perfectly fit into the slot, so to speak, right? So that's what I'm looking for the retro ring. It's not unaccomplishable. It's really just right moment in time to make it happen. And maybe it'll be a reissue. Maybe it'll be redecoed. I don't know. If you wanted to redeco, everybody let me know the colors you want. And we'll see what we can do.
There you go. We'll have to put we'll put a post up after this episode goes live. And we'll do a little poll for ring look. How about that? Yeah. So there you go. That's another one that comes up all the time, is that ring for the retros.
So we've seen so many amazing exclusives, whether it's the Legends at Target, Monday Night Wars upcoming, and Ruthless Aggression at Walmart, or the various Ringside Collectibles exclusive like the upcoming Ultimate Usos. What is part of the decision-making process to figure out what exclusives go where?
Well, you want a retailer to have something ownable, like an ownable statement. So Legends is owned by Target in the US, right? We're talking about in the US. These things are available to international retailers if they're able to take enough numbers for their market, right? So every market will have an MOQ, and maybe this is too technical for people and they don't care. They just want their toys. But, just explaining a little bit.
Seriously, go into it.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that, we get asked all the time and we just don't have the answers for. So like, absolutely, there's no such thing as too much information on this.
So, we don't develop things to be exclusive to a country necessarily. Actually, I think UK actually does have truly UK exclusives, but whatever, that's okay. So we want everyone to take it, but there's limitations in various markets, and sometimes things don't work out. But as you build a consumer base, like in the UK, for instance, now their collector is starting to boom a little bit. And they've brought in Ultimates and Legends starting this summer. So, we're making some progress there. And if that continues, like maybe Monday Night War makes its way over there as well next year, fingers crossed. I sure as hell will try. But anyway, back to the original question. You want to develop something ownable for a retailer, right? An ownable program that the buyer will understand and latch on to and get excited about. And that's why you kind of see something like ruthless aggression or Monday Night War or Legends, because it's very understandable and someone could look at that and see the possibilities, right? And a buyer could be like, I remember Monday Night Wars, and I was pure WCW and I remember flipping the channels, and you want that engagement from a buyer, and then they buy in and support. And then it's also like having those ideas and waiting for moments to execute them, right? Like Ruthless Aggression, that was one we were just waiting kind of for the anniversary of Ruthless Aggression to happen. And that line launched tied to the anniversary, and it was a great moment. So timing is a huge factor as well. We've got all the ideas in the world. We know all the ideas that you guys share with us, and we want the same things. It's like waiting for those moments, and retailer exclusives is a great way to make those things happen. Once again, Gobbledygooker being a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where it's interesting to think about, kind of that ownership factor, right? Like where that like that's where you go for that particular type of thing. But it's just always interesting like to see how you guys make the character selections like for those specific things, like what version of what character ends up in Legends form versus which one. Like we've had a couple of different versions of the Usos at this point, kind of spread out, but them going to that ultimate 2-pack for ringside as a tag team, like does that kind of back to that idea of ownership, like does that mean that there will be more ultimate tag team packs at ringside? Is that going to be in like an ongoing thing?
That's the hope, right? There was a lot of experimentation this year. They got a multi-pack with mega powers. They got retro tag teams. They got defining moments, and they're getting ultimate tag teams with the Usos. The reception initially has seemed to be pretty great with all of these. So I would love to continue these executions and have them have these ownable statements, right? They own tag team retros. They own Ultimate Edition tag team packs. Doesn't mean we won't do 2-packs of Ultimates elsewhere, like, Coliseum Collection. But as far as like a tag team, maybe it's just ringside. And they certainly do own, defining moments as well.
Now, speaking of those Usos for a moment, how will they be carded? Are they going to be carded, on the normal Ultimate Edition packaging, or is it going to be something a little bit different for them?
They will be in their individual Ultimate Edition boxes to 2 single boxes inside of a shipper like Coliseum Collection. Cool. So, you've got a lot of flexibility there as not only a consumer, right? But if you just want 6 extra Jey Usos for some reason, you can probably, ringside will most likely offer a couple of, in small quantities separately as well, much like they did with the retro tag teams and with defining moments.
Yeah, they've also had some of my favorite like oddball ones, or like things you wouldn't think, like, oh yeah, this definitely wouldn't make it on the shelf, but like Cactus Jack ECW or Firefly Funhouse match NWO John Cena, which is one of my favorite.
That's the one I always think of. What a wacky figure.
It's that figure where it's like, I didn't know I needed this, but I need this.
The face on that figure is what gets me, because he's got that like
it's the best.
Yeah, a lot of conversations to get that one to happen. But, for a while there, previous to this year, they had that very ownable, like, okay, this is a cool figure. Maybe I didn't know that I needed it. Specific packaging with the trifold backdrops, right? So that was kind of their ownable exclusive type previously. But I do think, personally, for my taste, we've leveled it up in 2023 for sure.
Absolutely.
So this next section takes us into our Q&A. So, as we usually say, welcome to those who are listening to us for the first time. Hope you're enjoying this episode. But, make sure you're following us at AIC_podcast on Instagram, because whenever we do have a guest, we'll send up a post collecting some questions for this Q&A section. We know
smash those subscribe and like buttons.
I can't not laugh every time you say that. It's just like, it's the most forced, like, podcaster, social media guy thing. I love it. I love when you do it. Every time it puts a dumb little smile on my face. Yeah, so we know that not everyone gets access to our guests all the time. We understand it's a privilege. So we want to make sure we spend some of this time asking the questions that you want to get answers to. So, Steve, are you ready for some Q&A?
Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
All right, so this first one comes from friend of the pod, Ryan Ting, at Ryan Ting on Instagram. Ryan Ting, of course, of the Marvel Legends team over at another brand. Who is your favorite late 90s WCW wrestler that might be heavily inspired from video games? More specifically, the Mortal Kombat franchise. Particularly one of the ninja characters.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Ryan, and it will never be made.
Oh, man.
Look, talk about ringside goofball exclusives, right? Like, if they would have been available, that would have been a badass ringside multi-pack, right? Maybe 2-pack with Mortis and Glacier. I love Mortis more than Glacier. Glacier's awesome, right? But Mortis was my guy out of those two.
And Wrath and the Minister too.
Of course. The Sinister Minister, fun fact, used to be a manager at Virgin Megastore in Orlando, and Sinister Minister used to always shop at our store, like at the least on a weekly basis, and just buy tons of DVDs and CDs and everything else. So I would not hesitate to make any of those, should the stars align and we get deals with the talent or estates.
Hey, keep the Monday Night Wars popular, and maybe the stars will align for that one.
Maybe we need a snow effect add-on for the stage.
Yes, there we go. A little. I'm sure Mike can engineer that, right? And if he can engineer that scaffolding and all those lights, I'm sure he could figure out a little snowmaker.
Mike can make anything. Can we afford to make everything Mike makes? No, but Mike can make everything, anything and everything.
All right, Dave, let's do the next one.
At Solaire2522 asks, are there any plans to bring back belt and or accessory packs?
So this is something that is always asked, and sometimes it comes down to choice, right? If they're like, Steve, you have 5 SKUs now to ration out across wherever, you got to maximize them, right? You got to make sure that we get decent, dollar volume back for these, investments, and choose what you have to do, right? So if I look at a belt pack, you think like, okay, what are you going to make on a belt pack realistically, right? You have a kind of like your baseline knowledge of how successful they're going to be. Or do you do tons of units of something like the Gobbledygook or Undertaker set, right? So to me, in my mind and in my heart, and to do what's right for our consumers as well on top of that and our business, you choose an execution like an Ultimate Edition or an Ultimate 2-pack or, a 4-pack for Target or a Raw Letter 3 set at Target, and you don't choose the belt pack. So it doesn't mean an opportunity won't come our way where you need something that is more appropriate of the belt pack, right? And that's when I would pull the trigger on something like that. Once again, it's the right opportunity for it. But, ultimately, like I think people would agree when they get something like Coliseum Collection, Jake and Rude, or Gobbledygooker, or, whatever. I'm trying not to spoil things. I almost blurted out like 2 multi-packs that are coming, but something really cool. Like you have to think like, this would be sacrificed for that, right? You only can work on X amount per year. You physically can only handle so much. The system can only handle so much, and you need to decide what those items are going to be. So I know people want belt packs. I know people want accessory packs. There is a mini accessory pack line, by the way. It's a basic figure and accessories. It's available at emerging channels. I don't know the specific store, but stores like Big Lots and things like that, and Dollar General, they have some WWE figures. They have those accessory packs. So like I said, it's not out of the question under the right circumstances. So I'll keep looking for the right home for them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make sure that if you make a George the Animal Steel figure, that it comes with a rippable turnbuckle. I mean, it's just like,
right?
100%.
It's gotta
Right.
happen.
That actually fits on your new gen ring.
Very excited about that.
Does it fit easily? I don't know yet. That first sample was a little trouble, but we're working on finessing it.
Where people are crafty, they'll make it work. Plus, it's ripped. It doesn't need to sit like perfect.
Yeah,
It's
there
ripped.
you go.
All right, so this next one comes from at you ain't shit, bro. 360 asks, great handle.
My burner account,
right? He's gonna be like, they're gonna be like, I can't believe they asked the question. Are you considering any add-ons for the existing Ultimate rings, like cages or rope and skirt packs?
Yes. I ideally would have wanted them to happen already, but at the end of the day, you need a significant baseline of consumers who own, I'm like motioning with my hands here, but we're not on, this isn't going to be video, but you need a significant baseline of consumers to warrant things like that, right? Because we've got 8,000, right? We'll say 8,000 new gen, not counting the Attitude Era ring. 8,000 people have new gen rings, we'll say. Let's say not people didn't buy multiples, legitimately 8,000 people have those rings. How many of those 8,000 are actually going to buy these accessory packs? Half if you're lucky, right? So now you're down to 4,000, right? And now you're talking about like sub minimum order quantities, right? Out of the gate. So what I need to do, as your guy on the inside, is keep pushing more rings out to expand that user base, right? So then when 20, 40, 50, 100,000 people own this style and compatible scale ring, then you have the opportunity for a significant accessory business, right? Then you can sell 10 or 20,000 steel cage accessories. You can sell 5 to 10,000 ring skirt packs, but we're not quite there yet. But we're getting there. We'll have 3 rings out, by the end of this year. So we're approaching it. So please just be patient and hang in there. And I know everybody wants ring skirts, right? So yes, of course, you have the Raw is War skirt that came out already, but there's more Attitude Era skirts we can do, right? There's more WCW skirts we could do, maybe mats. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but like we need that base to grow a little bit to warrant that accessory pack ring business.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that, and this kind of comes up with, in multiple interviews, is that quantity amount. Like there are way fewer of us than we think there are. 1. And then 2, it's like, you have to consider the costs of running these products, in general before you can even, talk about how many of them sell and sell at what price, and the fewer that there are, the more they're going to cost. And, it's a big numbers game. It's a lot of math.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, the ideas are all there, right? We don't not know what you guys are telling us and what you want, and we also want it. But I think I've made a career out of building towards things, right? And eventually getting it done and laying the groundwork to get it done at a later date. And every cool thing we do, there was a lot of building to get there, right? And we do get there. So I think we will. Raw Ring doing great. Sold out ringside. They keep trying to get more, which is great, and adding more. And hopefully the Nitro ring does just as well. And we got to make it's a wrestling based business, so there's going to be rings. I see we don't need any more rings, but you do. Not you personally, but people need rings for a wrestling line. So having one available at all times doesn't really hurt anything. You don't have to buy more yourself, right? Like you don't have to buy anything if you don't want it. If it's not for you, don't buy it. But if more people who don't have rings yet buy it, then you're going to get what you want. You're going to get the big blue steel cage, right? Or whatever it is that we can concoct for that work with these rings. So, be patient, hang in there, think long game. It's a long game hobby, for all of us. The longer we wait, look at what the past 5 years alone, like, holy smokes, like what we've got, right? It's unbelievable. And then you do the whole 13 years and it's like, wow, this is significant and impressive. And maybe it's not, the excitement of classic superstars where it was first time in the line guys in every single wave. But if you're in this for the long game, like, you're kind of getting everybody you would ever want over time. And I think as long as we can deliver that, I'm satisfied.
All right, Dave, you want to do the last question of the Q&A here?
Yeah, sure. So at Fig_Foundation asks, with Endeavor acquiring WWE, do you think there's a possibility Mattel may explore UFC figures, considering all the work that's gone into WWE figures?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of, the company. I mean, I'm talking to you guys, giving you my knowledge as Steve, the collector who happens to work inside the industry, right? But I would like UFC figures. They fit great with the WWE style figures. I loved when Jax back in the day did their line and they had the scale octagon. And those figures, of course, fit in very well, same body type of the WWE figures. So I think stylistically they would fit fantastically well. There's obviously a little bit of crossover. There's some legacy play there with some of the legends of UFC. So I would personally love to see, some sort of UFC statement. But with that said, there's so much to consider, right? Do they even want a toy partner? Is Mattel as a company interested? Do they think Mattel's a good fit for them? It's even less kid, right, than WWE when you're talking about UFC. So there's so much to consider. So really, my statement, me, Steve the collector, Steve the fan of combat sports, I'd love to see it. But TBD where things, go and how things pan out. The dust has definitely not even settled on that deal yet. So I'm sure there's a lot to discuss and talk about over, the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one that there have been a few stabs at UFC figures, and the past versions have all had their merits, but yeah, I mean, I would hope that UFC and Mattel could work something out, just because there's just so much potential there, in terms of even just thinking like having the license for people like Brock and Ronda, and being able to see like UFC
Shamrock,
versions.
right?
Shamrock, yeah.
I want a Dan Severn.
Damn right you do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you could it's just the potential is incredible there. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that the stars align for that one too. So that's it. That's our Q&A section. Steve, you survived.
We did it.
You survived another Q&A round. And now, this is you're one of the few people that has been on this show 3 times. So we had to adjust our final question in order to accommodate your three-peat appearance.
Yeah, I think Bill just answered last time.
Yes. So, Dave, would you like to fulfill your role as this podcast's James Lipton and ask our new final question?
Why, yes, I would. So, Steve, since you're now appearing for a 3rd time on the show and have answered the final question we ask all of our guests, a new final question for this appearance. If you could make a series for any single premium live event in WWE history, which event would be represented and which figures would be included?
Oh my God, what a loaded question for someone who wants everything. Geez. Let me think here for a second. How about St. Valentine's Day Massacre with a Build-A Black Cage accessory for the Attitude Era ring, with Vince, with a bloody head, with Steve Austin, with Big Show in a shirt, throwing Jim Ross in there, right? How many figures is that? 4?
Yeah. You need one more.
Let's do the King with articulated jacket.
Okay.
That would be an
So
awesome
you really
set.
just build out that main event, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. You answered that so fast. When I saw this question,
Yeah.
so this was a Dave. This was 100% Dave.
Yeah.
This question.
I had two that I was
And-
in between, and I went with this
And
one.
when I saw this question, I was like, his answer is going to be like, it's going to take him like 3 years to get there. Nope. Just absolutely.
I
crushed it.
basically just spun the wheel of memories, and whatever it landed on, I went with. It could have been anything. It could have been, I don't know, one of the UK pay-per-views, one night only or something. Who knows? But anyway, it landed on St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and I went with it.
Well, there you go. Well, Steve, before we let you go, please remind our followers, where can they find you on social media? Where can they back the Nitro ring, and where can they stay up to date on the WWE Mattel releases?
Well, I am on Instagram, Action Figure Attack, and also check that out to see the streamlined version of the Nitro set on my reels, which I hope to put together and have before this podcast goes live. Twitter, Action Fig Attack. I just had to look up my TikTok that I barely use. That's Action Figure Attack also. And then, of course, the Monday Nitro entrance stage crowdfund is going on right now at MattelCreations.com. That runs through the first Friday of May. By the time this podcast airs, the Hulk Hogan early bird backer will be unlocked. I'm going to be positive thinking, or else this will sound embarrassing, when this comes out, but I'm hopeful. And let's unlock those tiers. Let's get to DDP, Big Papa Pump, and Ultimate Warrior as well. We've got another month to make this happen. And I think, and as we speak right now, we're currently at like 34%. It's been on an uptick all day, which is exciting. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hopeful we get this epic entrance stage.
And we'll make sure to put all the links to all of those things in the show notes, so that way you guys can just tap that button and then go ahead and start tapping those links. That way you can follow Steve, back the Nitro Arena, all that good stuff. Steve, thank you so much again for coming on the show and for chatting with us, and hopefully you get some well-deserved rest.
Thank you guys for having me, and I'm honored to be, the most attended guest of your podcast of all time.
Hey, and you know what? As long as you guys keep putting out figures and keep wanting to come back, I mean, you'll just keep racking up these appearances, and we'll have to get you a jacket to go with all the other cool chalk line jackets that you have.
Yeah, Ryan, you don't have a jacket.
Dave, you want to send us home?
Yeah, give yourself a self high five and take a look at that Nitro Arena.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.